Hey, what is up, everyone? So one of the more interesting features of Sea of Thieves Season 16 is these new Skeleton Mercenaries, where you can basically hire your own skeleton to help you do certain tasks. This, I think, is very exciting, but it also might be a little bit disappointing for people that are expecting it to be more than what it is. So when searching on various islands across the Sea of Thieves world, you'll be able to find skeleton mercenaries buried into the ground. You'll be able to see them just basically with like a bone arm or something sticking out of the ground, and you can go up to it and dig it up, and then it'll let you interact with it to basically recruit that skeleton to be on your team. Once you dig up the skeleton, you'll see it, pop out of the ground, and it will have its own unique name, and you can tell whether or not the skeleton is on your team based off the color of the text that is above their head. And so if their name is green, that means they're on your crew. So one misconception that players might have that I want to address at the very start of this video is that you might be thinking when you see this that, oh, when you recruit the skeleton, they get to stay with you for the entire time you're playing in that session. That's how a lot of stuff in Sea of Thieves works, that like once you find something, you get to keep it for as long as you're playing that day, but then once you leave, everything resets. That is not how these skeleton mercenaries work. These work only on the island where you find them. So once you leave that island, they stay there. They don't come with you. They can't work on your ship, which is very disappointing because I think a lot of players, especially like solo players, would love for the ability to have like a skeleton helper on your ship that can like repair holes or maybe even shoot cannons and stuff. But sadly, that's not what these do. That doesn't mean they're useless though. They can be pretty helpful for you, especially if you're doing a voyage on an island. And that's really what the main point of these skeletons are. So these skeletons are pretty random to find. You'll find them on islands, and you might even be able to find multiple of them. If you find multiple of them, you can recruit all of them and they'll all follow you. Sometimes you even might find a skeleton mercenary captain, and these captains have a little bit more health than the regular ones. So that's also more of like a random factor too. So you might get lucky and you'll be able to find that. So what can these skeletons do? So basically whoever unearths them and revives them from the ground will be the person that they follow. So they'll follow you around the island wherever you go, and you can do a variety of things with them. For one thing that's really cool, you can actually show them a treasure map. So say it's like a buried treasure map for that island that you're on, and they will actually help you look for that piece of treasure. They might either point in that direction, or if they see where it's at, they'll start waving their hands and saying like, come here to, dig it up basically. So that's a pretty cool thing that they can do. And then once you dig up the treasure, you can actually hand the treasure to that skeleton, and then they'll carry it for you so that you don't have to carry it. I think this is going to be something that's really nice, especially for solo players. Make it a little bit faster to get treasure back to your ship, especially if you're on like a big island. If you saw my video a few weeks ago talking about the 4 hunting voyages, that was one of the things that I talked about, where like in the very center of like large islands, they'd have like a bunch of little treasures that you had to pick up. And the longest part of doing that voyage is just running the treasure back and forth to your ship. So if you have one of these skeleton mercenaries, it actually can be pretty beneficial to help you carry the treasure to and from your ship. But that's not the only thing that they'll do for you. They will also help fight other players or other hostile enemies in the game. So they'll fight any enemy that tries to attack you, like the phantoms, ocean crawler, skeleton, and other rival players. Another cool thing that you can do with the skeleton mercenaries is that if they die in battle to one of these enemies that they're fighting, you can actually revive them and they'll keep working for you. So they don't, just completely go away once they die. And you'll probably need to revive them a lot because in my experience, they don't seem to last too long in a fight, especially if it's a more powerful enemy like a big ocean crawler or obviously a player or something like that. Another thing that I really like that they can do is that they'll dig up treasure. So they'll help you find where treasure is and they'll carry treasure for you, but they'll even help you dig up stuff. So once you start digging up treasure somewhere, they will come over and start digging with you. So that's pretty cool. That'll help a lot for solo players as well. Also, something to note is that when they're carrying treasure that you give them, you can obviously take it back from them. But if, let's say, they get into a fight, so there's someone that's attacking them or there's just an enemy nearby, they will put down the treasure item, go and attack that enemy, and then they will come back and pick it up. One last thing to note about these skeleton mercenaries is that, let's say another crew kills your mercenary. they can actually go over and revive that skeleton, and then they'll be working for the rival player instead. So that's something to keep in mind, that these mercenaries can be allies to you, but then they can quickly become enemies to you if they get, killed in battle. So overall, these Skeleton Mercenaries I think are a pretty cool addition to the game. Obviously, they're not, as epic as, being able to find a skeleton and then they can just stay with you for your entire adventure for that session, coming on board your ship and doing stuff like kind of similar to what we saw with the Burning Blade and the skeletons that, work on there. That would have been amazing, but what we got here is still pretty cool, and it's nice to be able to have little helpers on especially the larger islands when you're doing, whatever your voyage is on those islands. So that's everything you need to know about these Skeleton Mercenaries. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this new addition to the game? And if you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, it would be great if you left a like and subscribed. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye y'all.